Hello, everybody. Let's see if this is working. I just hit broadcast. Good. Folks are coming in. Awesome. I'm going to open the chat. And as you come in, if you can type in the chat whether or not you can see the screen and hear me, that would be wonderful so that I can know if it's working or not. Let me know there if you can see and hear me. Yay. Thank you. Thank you, Christopher, Bernice, Jill. Appreciate it. Good. All right. Okay, see and hear. So you can see the screen with the title. Good. Igard, how do you pronounce that? Michelle, Corolla, good. Awesome. Great, 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 great. All right, we are happening. Good, so hey, when you come in, if you can just type where you're from, go ahead and let us know where you're from. That would be awesome. Get a feel for who's here and from where. Minnesota, Janet K, Texas, Jill from Texas, another one from Texas, Lake Elsinore, California, Metro, New York City, Boulder, Louisiana, North Carolina, Boulder. Awesome. Is Lake Elsinore near San Bernardino? Igard, is that where that is? I'm not sure where that is. I grew up in California, but I can't place it. Inland Empire. Okay, okay, cool. Temecula, Corona, got it. Okay, more towards San Diego. Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so anyone else coming in, go ahead and just let us know where you're from. We're going to start here in a few minutes. If you are here to learn how to get an amazing blog that will generate therapy clients for you around the clock without writing a single word, then you are in the right place. Hopefully you are in the right place. You are on the flight that is headed this way. All right, cool. Still have some people coming in. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Put where you're from in the chat, and then we will get a feel for where everyone's from. Okay, so it's already 2 after, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to dive into this. One thing that Phoenix, Arizona, Joy, great, welcome. One thing that I want to ask you all is, as we go through this, if questions come up for you, instead of trying to remember them until the end when I will open it up for questions, please go ahead and type your question into the chat, okay? Because what I'm going to do at the end is I'm going to go back through the chat and I'm going to start answering questions in the order that they were typed in. And so go ahead and put your question in there so you don't forget, and I'll get to it at the end, okay? All right, so we're going to go ahead and dive in. Let's see if I can operate this thing. All right, there we go. All right, so my goal is to basically show you a real solution, all right? So the title is pretty enticing, right? How do you actually create a blog that is gonna get you clients like clockwork, ongoing, and you don't have to write anything? That might sound pretty far-fetched to a lot of people, but I'm actually gonna walk you through a real solution. And one thing I would really like is if you would turn off all the distractions, okay? Turn off Facebook, turn off your phone, close other windows on your computer, whatever it is. You know, you're here now, you set aside the time, so be here. And if you're not here, you're gonna miss some stuff, and you're gonna just kind of, you know, only get part of it, and that's not gonna have made it worth your time. So go ahead and turn off all your distractions, pay attention. Whoops. I got a fast keyboard here, I guess. Also, stay until the end because I'm really going to show you how you can get this done, okay? And so the punchline is at the end. So go ahead and stay until the end, all right? All right, for those who don't know me, I'm Becky DeGrossa. I founded Counseling Wise. I've actually been working with therapists since 2008, so that makes me really old. And I was a therapist until 2010. So basically what happened for me is that I started my practice and I loved the marketing more than sitting in the seat. So I started helping other therapists in 2008. And then in 2010, I just quit my practice altogether and went full-time in terms of helping therapists, okay? I was with IBM before that. And, you know, as I said, became a marketing coach for therapists, helped hundreds of therapists fill their practices. I'm way into systems. I guess it's because of my, you know, computer science background or just the way my brain works or whatever. I love building systems. I love figuring things out, systematizing them, testing them, making them work, and then making them go big. All right. So that is me. That's how all of this came about. What I'm going to talk about here are a couple of different things, really key things when it comes to blogging that most people do not understand. Okay, a lot of people think they don't need a blog at all. Some people believe they need one, but they think they just have to write and write and write. And actually, if you just write without doing it the correct way, it doesn't matter. It's not going to even get you any clients. So I've seen too many people who they call and they say, hey, I've been, you know, everyone says you should blog and I've been doing it and I'm killing myself and I hate it and nothing is happening. And it's like, yeah, that's because there's some things missing here, okay? So that's what we're gonna dive into. Before I get too far into this, I wanna ask, just go ahead and type into the chat, who was able to watch the videos, the pre-training videos? There were 3 videos out there. Who was able to watch them? Go ahead and type in the chat and let me know so that I can get a feel for that. Brian, you did. Diana, 1 and 2. Connie watched them. Egard wasn't able. Michelle was. Yes to 1. Only the post-registration one. Ellen, Mark, just the first one. Skimmed all 3. Okay. Okay, so, all right. That gives me a sense of where you guys are at. Okay, Marlena didn't get a chance. No big deal. It's all right. I just wanted to get a sense because those went into some details about things. You can watch them afterwards. Okay, it's not, you know, the order of it isn't gonna make that big of a difference, but I wanted to know where you're at right now before I dive in. Okay, so why blogs get more clients to come to your website? Let's go ahead and talk about that. So first I'm going to talk about Counseling-Wise. Okay, so I told you that I started working with therapists in 2010 or 2008, but full-time in 2010. I didn't launch Counseling-Wise as a website until 2012, okay? I kind of got distracted, started working with therapists, and then, you know, they referred their plumber or their home builder or their husband who was an attorney or whoever, and I started working with a bunch of different people, and then I decided that was insane, and I needed to back off and come back and just focus on therapists. So launched Counseling-Wise in 2012. When that happened, I was scared to death, okay? Because we're at the bottom of the heap, okay? So imagine you're launching a new website. There's all these websites in your market, right? You look at all these therapists who've had websites up for who knows how long, 5, 10 years. That's what it was like for us. It was really hard to be at the bottom, and it was very discouraging. And it was like, oh, how are we ever going to get over this hill? What happened was we started blogging like crazy. We knew it was going to take time, but we also knew that content was going to matter, okay? So we set up our site in a certain way, and we started blogging. And here is what happened. So what this chart is it shows you right about, well, it shows you this bottom line, which is August 2012, which is when we started, to 13. So we had nothing, right? Nothing. Around February, we started getting some traffic and it started going up. And then if you can compare that to like 2017, 18, look how huge it is, okay? I don't even have this year's numbers, but if you look at that, it's just like astronomically higher, okay? And once this thing started taking off, I became even more of a believer in blogging because it made a huge difference for us. Now we rank for so many terms. I mean, a lot of you probably found me and got on our list because you typed in things like therapist website, therapist SEO, Google AdWords for therapists, whatever. We're way up there on all these things, hundreds and hundreds of terms. So we get a ton of traffic to our website now. In the beginning, it wasn't that way. But what I want you to realize is that your story can be the same, okay? Your story can be the same. You just have to learn how to do it right, and you have to stick with it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, that's what it looks like now. All right, so this applies not just to companies like me that are national, it also applies to therapists. And this is a ranking chart of a therapist who had a site that was actually built pretty decently but didn't blog. So what ends up happening is it's almost like you have a car, you buy a car, this is this great car, it's passed all the tests and all this good stuff, but you never put gas in it. So what happens is it just kind of it doesn't do anything, right? Never goes anywhere. Same site, different term, just doesn't go anywhere. On the other hand, if you have a therapist who does blog, this is what happens. So this is one of our clients, anxiety counseling in his town. He started at position 19, blogged, and voila, ends up way up here at position 3, okay? Same thing for pretty much all of his terms. Started really low and got up. He started like even lower than that. He probably started like in the 200s or something. But this is what happens when you blog, okay? So the most important thing that you can learn from this entire presentation is that blogging matters if you do it right. And if you understand that, which hopefully if you watch the pre-training videos, you'll know that regardless of what happens, regardless of what I say, what I have to offer you, figure out a way to get blogs on your site, okay? Because they matter. And get them on the right way, okay? So one of the questions, though, is, well, what, right? What should you blog about? I remember when I was starting my practice, I had no idea, right? I had no idea. And I've been working with therapists for so many years that I know that this is a common issue. People think that they have to have something original to say. They have to be, some literary master in order to blog. Otherwise, they're embarrassed about what they have on their site. That is not the case, okay? That's not what this is about. It's so not what it's about. What it's about is really providing something to your clients, your potential clients, who are looking for help. And you're kind of like, even if you're new to blogging, you're a trained therapist and you have experience working with people with issues. So you're like in college and they're like in kindergarten in terms of understanding these things, okay? In terms of their level of intimidation about what they're feeling and what might happen and what they're going through and all that stuff. So all you need to do is you need to provide answers to questions that they're wondering about. And guess what? All these answers are out there already. You are not going to, most likely, unless you're some amazing person who's inventing whole new models and all sorts of stuff, you're probably not going to have a whole lot of things to say that are totally original, and that doesn't matter. All you need to do is provide good information to people, all right? So let's look at what that looks like. In my private practice, which was Center for Healthy Divorce, I was so intimidated by attorneys, okay? And in yours, hopefully you don't have, someone like attorneys or MDs or whoever that you're stacking yourself up against. I did, right? I was in this collaborative divorce world, and I felt really undereducated compared to attorneys. And they were actually kind of competing for the same traffic as I was. But I was scared to death and knew that I didn't know anything, and I was so afraid of embarrassing myself and all that stuff. And then I thought, wait a minute, I don't have to write about the law. I don't have to write about custody. I don't have to write about anything. I'm really about helping people get through the emotional side of divorce. And having been through one, not too long before this, I remembered how awful it was. Okay, and so I got in touch with that. I got in touch with what can I do to really reach people emotionally. All right, and so this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. Let's say that one of your specialties or the folks that you are working with, it's anxiety, depression, couples, whatever it is. What you need to do is you need to really tune in to those people, kind of go back to the beginning, tune into them, and think, okay, if I'm a person who is really anxious, if that's what my deal is, what do I need? What am I feeling? And what do I need? What do I want to know? What do I want to hear? And that's where it all starts. Okay? So you have to be willing to feel the vulnerability. Imagine the vulnerability. Imagine that person sitting in front of you and then do it. Okay? So that is going to be key to everything. What I did was I just decided, okay, I'm going to just start writing and I'm going to ignore what I fear they will think. Okay? That was me. Maybe I'm more competitive than other people. I don't know. But that's what I was worried about. That's what I was worried about. And I know therapists are worried that they're not coming up with anything, just novel. Whoa. Did something just happen on your guys' end? Do you still see the screen? Maybe you can, yeah, you still see it and it looks the same? Wow. Okay. It just went huge on my end. Okay. Well, good. So we'll keep going. It just took up my whole huge screen here. All right. So I just started writing, and lo and behold, my phone started ringing. Okay. Now I also explained this a little bit in one of the pre-videos. When you're in a collaborative divorce group, the attorneys get all the clients. Okay. Clients call attorneys. They don't call therapists. But pretty soon what started happening is my Center for Healthy Divorce site started ranking, and I started getting more phone calls than they did for collaborative divorce. And that was a turning point for me, because there were some attorneys in the group that weren't so collaborative and they were not fun to work with. And so when I got the clients, I got to recommend to the clients which attorneys they should consider. And I recommended the ones who were actually collaborative. So it was a wonderful thing. All right. So that's just a simple example of the power of showing up. Okay. When you show up and you get traffic and you have a message that is convincing, you can pretty much control your practice at that point. Right. And so it's just an example of that. So let's talk about what you should be writing about, because this is the big question. Core content. All right. Core content is a big piece of it. And what that means is, what are the kind of subtopics or whatever of your niche? And let's say one of your niches is anxiety. Let's just go with that example. What are the frequently asked questions that people, come up with? When they come in, what are they asking? Okay. Often for anxiety, it will be things like, what's the difference between anxiety and stress? Isn't it just normal to be anxious at times? What is an anxiety diagnosis, right? Those kinds of general questions. If you've been practicing at all for any amount of time or seeing people, you know what those are, okay? So just sit down, it's no big deal. Just write out those frequently asked questions. You can also look at keyword research tools, okay? And you could just go Google keyword research tools. Free. There are free ones out there. And you can, Ubersuggest is one of them. Neil Patel took that free tool over and decked it out. So you can just go to Ubersuggest and you can type in anxiety and you'll see a whole bunch of ideas of common questions that people would ask. And just jot them down in a notebook. If you spent probably 2 hours on potential blog topics, researching them, you would have enough to write for the rest of your life, most likely. Okay, that is not the problem, figuring out what to write. All right, let's keep going here. Here's some core content topics. So you know, depression, how to tell the difference between the blues and depression. So an example title would be just the blues or symptoms of depression, how to tell the difference. Another one would be what's the difference between anxiety and stress. Okay, core content topics, pretty easy. And very valuable when somebody goes to Google and they type in something like anxiety treatment or depression treatment, and they end up on your site and they start reading your site, and then they see, oh yeah, this is what I wondered. What's the difference between, you know, just feeling down and actually having a depression diagnosis? You know, or what's the difference in anxiety and stress? That's valuable to them at that point. You may think it's so therapy 101-ish, and it is, but doesn't matter. To them, it's valuable. All right. Then the next thing that you can write about are more deeper or how-to type topics, okay? And what I mean by this is reflect on your client's questions and issues and ask what keeps them up at night, okay? So what's the next layer underneath? So let's imagine that depression is the topic. They may have those general FAQs, you know, what's the difference between depression and bipolar, blah, 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 whatever. But then they may have some deeper ones, deeper questions, okay, that come up after that. And some of these questions can be things like, you know, am I gonna, if I have this diagnosis, am I gonna have this for the rest of my life? Is there any way to change this thing? What about my kids? Am I gonna, is this, you know, is this genetic? Am I gonna pass this on to my kids? These are the things that they think about after the initial, oh, maybe I have this crap, okay? These are the second level of things that they think about. And so these are another area where you can just list out a ton of different things, okay? There you go. Afraid of a depression diagnosis? You're not alone. That would be an amazing blog post to be sitting on your site for somebody who's coming there and they're reading about depression, okay? And they're looking for a depression therapist. Worried that your child has an eating disorder? Here's how to know, okay? So these are examples of deeper types of content. There's also how-to content that goes, gosh, my keyboard, that goes with this. So an example of that would be, is depression disrupting your sleep? Create a sleep ritual to get to sleep more often, okay? Or get to sleep faster or something like that. So these are, you know, think of how-tos. I mean, what are some other how-tos? What do people want to know? Go ahead and type in the chat, you guys. What do people want to know if they're, what are how-to type things people want to know if they're anxious? All right? I just want to see if you're getting this. I want to see if you're getting this. If they're highly anxious, what are some of the how-to questions that they're going to have? Come on, who's going to be brave? Ah, come on, you guys. There you go. Yeah, how to manage anxiety about a first date, how to cut down on social media, makes people anxious, how to stop my heart palpitations, right? Panic attacks. Yes, yes. What do I do to help my anxiety? Right. How to overcome anxiousness, right? Intrusive thoughts at night, how to stop worrying all the time, right? Okay, so you guys got this, right? This is like really easy stuff for you. If you overthink it, it's going to feel really hard, but you know, you've just come up with a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, how to get through the first year after the death of a loved one. That could be a great blog post for grief counseling as a specialty. But you know, anxiety is part of that as well. So cool. So you're getting it. It's pretty easy stuff. Now, I will tell you that there are all sorts of other ways or other techniques to think of topics. And if you're, you know, if you really want to get into it, if you get way into it, you can go to town with those things, okay? And in fact, I'll be talking about something later that will help you get a whole bunch of other ideas. But the truth of the matter is, just between the frequently asked questions, kind of pondering the deeper questions a little bit, and the how-to, you could come up with enough blog post ideas to write for 4 different specialties for the rest of your life, okay? So just know that getting topics is not the problem. So now let's talk about why we're even talking about this, why it even matters. Okay, we've already talked about the fact that if you write a lot of blog posts, the more content on your site you have, the more likely you are going to be found, right? It helps you rank in Google, especially if you have big groups of content that are related, okay? And by that, what I mean is that we have like anxiety treatment as a specialty, and then we have a whole bunch of anxiety posts hanging off that, and they're all together on the site. And Google, you know, somebody goes into your town and they type in anxiety treatment, and Google goes, whoa, this site over here has a whole bunch of content related to anxiety, this big old group of interlinked content, and therefore we're going to rank that highly. Okay, so that's why. But why does it matter when people come to your site and they actually land on your site and they start reading and then they see these posts? Okay, this is a nuanced thing that people don't understand, and especially people that are kind of caught up in that thing like, well, I'm not really writing anything that different, and you know, they could find what I'm writing out on, you know, Psychology Today, National Institute of Health, National Institute of Mental Health, whatever. True, they probably could. But the difference is that if you write about these specific things, then they know that you know about them. They know that you work with these issues. They know that if they walk into your office, you are not going to be thrown off by the fact that they, whatever it is, you know, that they have these intrusive thoughts at night, because you're writing about it on your website. So it normalizes it for them. They know that you can handle it. Okay, so that is huge, all right? And it's also huge in terms of being found for specific things as well. So when I was, again, you know, when I was doing my private practice, my big fear was, what if no one reads this stuff? What if I put all this work into it and no one reads this stuff? And it was just kind of like a leap of faith that I took, because I already knew how to write to what they were most likely feeling, because I had just been through it. And it was awful, and I understood the pain and the fear and the tumultuous nature of the whole darn thing. So I figured I could write it, but I didn't know anyone was going to read it really and be impacted by it. I went ahead and did it, and just because, what the heck, it might work. They say that this blogging stuff works, so what the heck, I might as well try it, right? So I did it, and darned if one of the first people who called me finally, when I started getting visible because of all this, she was sitting in my waiting room, and I went out and said, you know, are you so-and-so? Why don't you come in? And she comes in with this, I'm thinking she's got a notebook to take notes, which, yeah, she was probably going to take notes, but she also had like 5 pages of my website printed out. And she had things highlighted, actually. And she was, you know, I mean, she started telling me her story, what was going on. And she said, and when you said this here, I couldn't believe it. I felt like you were in my head. You know, I felt like you had been in my house seeing what was happening and all that. That was life-changing for me. That made me realize the power of content, all right? Also, I noticed that phone conversations were different. They were not calling and asking me a whole bunch of questions about stuff that was already on my site or whatever. They had already read some things. They felt like connected to me already because of the things that they read. They knew that I knew what they were going through. They knew that I understood the pain of divorce. They knew I understood the pain of wondering how your kids were going to be okay when you went through a divorce, all that good stuff. So they were already with me. And it was pretty much, they had decided that they were going to work with me before they even called. It wasn't a screening call, you know, it wasn't a fact-finding call. It was a scheduling call. And this is the single most common thing that we hear from people who follow our system for developing websites. Therapists tell us over and over and over again that, wow, the quality of the calls has totally changed. People are telling me they called because I said XYZ on this page or whatever. So it's really effective. Let's talk a little bit about the client journey. If you didn't get to watch, I think, video 3, you didn't get to hear me talk about my story, but what really, really got me into this, helping therapists be found, is that this little one, Katie, my daughter, adopted from China a million years ago. She's now like 22, but she was 3 in this picture, and she had to have dental surgery. And she was a pretty chill kid prior to dental surgery, and then she went in for that, and she came back. She seemed fine the first week afterwards, and then she started melting down. And we had no idea what had happened. It was just endless. She wouldn't sleep at night. She was so angry at times, like moving furniture, this little pipsqueak, moving furniture. Major upset somewhere along the way. And we could not understand it. And so I was looking for a therapist. I was looking for an explanation. We talked to the doctor or the dental surgeon. We talked to the anesthesiologist. Have you ever seen this before? No. Everything was fine. We were just besides ourselves because she was a mess. She was a total mess. And it went on and on and on. I could not find hardly anything online. There was one guy that had some stuff about medical trauma in kids and how that manifests. I would have gone to see him, but he wasn't taking clients. He lived far away, but we would have gone. Anyway, there were therapists, and in Boulder, I mean, there's a gazillion therapists in Boulder. There were therapists who probably had a really good idea of what had happened and how to work with this, but they didn't write anything on their websites at all. I looked at pretty much every child therapist website in the county of Boulder. No one had anything that eased my mind at all that they had ever worked with anything like this, okay? And it's not that they hadn't. It's not that they hadn't. They had, but they did not put it out there. Okay, so this is a perfect example of somebody who is desperately seeking to find you, and they cannot find you because you're not putting stuff out there about what you do, the types of issues you've worked with, all these different things. Okay, it's terrible. It's awful for both you and for the person who's looking for you. All right, so that was what really, really convinced me that what you have on your website matters to people. You need to get it out there, even if it's not the perfect job, even if you feel like it could be better written or organized better or whatever, get it out there because someone is looking for that. And if you have it out there, they're going to see it, and it's going to be so targeted that they're going to just say, oh, well, I'm calling this person. There's no question. They've been through this before. They worked with this before. All right, so I have walked you through, showing you basically that blogs bring more traffic and higher rankings, and that they give, people basically the reassurance that you have something that they need and that they should give you a call. Okay, so we've talked about that. This, based on my experience, doing this is harder than it seems, okay? That's just all there is to it. So let's talk a little bit about that, and you might relate to this. When I first had my practice and I didn't have any clients, I was better at this, but even then I wasn't the best. I am not very consistent with a lot of things, okay? Like, I don't bring plants into the house because if I'm responsible for them, they will die. I'm not good at that. I'm also, I would love to have an aquarium, but I would kill the fish because I would never clean it. I'm really bad at those kinds of things. Yes, I feed my dog and my cat, and I brush my teeth every day and all those things. But things that are not the bare minimum, you have to do this, I'm terrible at it, okay? So You may be that way, you may not. I couldn't get motivated also about topics, even though I knew, oh, there's all these different things. I would look at them, whatever. I don't feel like writing about that today. Okay, that was just how I was. Also, my challenge, and some of you may relate to this, I was a slow writer. Okay, I was a very slow writer. I have an overactive editor in my head, having grown up with someone who was a master's in English and a technical editor. And so every time I sit down to write something, I hear my mother saying something like, don't say it that way, or whatever. So I edit, like, I just edit the heck out of what I'm writing, and I can't just let it flow. All right. Anybody have these kinds of challenges? Go ahead and put it in the chat. You know, how do you guys feel about this stuff? Are you consistent with things? Are you always pumped up? Diana, all of them. Yes. Are you always pumped up about, oh, I'm going to write that, you know, start out fast and peter out? I think I must be your twin. Yeah, it's really frustrating, isn't it? It is really frustrating. Oh yeah, someone else thought of that, not original. Yes, I know. It's hard. So, second language. Oh, second language. That would be, yeah. Paulina, that would be really tough. That would even be worse. Oh, you're thinking that it's boring, or you didn't do it justice. You're motivated at first and then get bored after a bit. Yeah. I think that, I think this motivation stuff, it's not steady, right? It's like peaks and valleys. So it's pretty frustrating. So given that, let me ask you a question. If I could show you how to get blogs written for you by professional writers, would you be interested? Okay, that's the big question. So go ahead and let me know. Let me know in the chat if you would be interested in that. If I could show you how to get blogs written for you by professional writers, would you be interested? Yes, of course. What's the cost? Yeah, how much does it cost? Yep. Yes, maybe. Like to do my own work, somewhat of a control freak. Well, there you go. That's okay. You can do that. Yes. Okay. All right. So let's talk about how this works. Like I said, at the beginning of my practice, I could blog myself if I would, right? Because I had time. So if I would do it, I could. But as I was more successful, I got more busy. I had a really hard time keeping up. Like, it was not even possible after a while, let alone my wavering motivation, okay? But I also knew it was key for long-term success, okay? I knew that this was key. And I've done this a couple of times in my life, and it was really, really helpful. I found a writer, okay? And the first writer, Hildy Tipton, I'll never forget about her. I found her on whatever Upwork. Remember what Upwork used to be called? I don't know what it used to be called, but I found her out there. I saw a bunch of her samples. It took us a while to kind of work together and figure out what we needed to do. But I would say, hey, I need a blog post on something, you know, like how parents could tell their kids about the divorce in the least damaging way. Or, you know, how parents could, you know, whether parents should consider the shared nest type arrangement for co-parenting and things like that. And I would tell her what I wanted, and then she would go out and she would look up information online, and she would find all these different things about it. And since she was a writer, and I'll tell you, writers are amazing. Since she was a writer, she had this ability to put words together really well. And I'm imagining Carola and Aisha, my blogging coordinators. If you guys are on, you're probably laughing at me. But these guys are kind of built differently than I am. They have the ability to put words together really well, very smoothly, fast. It's like someone who can throw a pot, and I don't know how to do that, right? But they can do it. It's a craft. So she would give me these things back, and then I would just edit them and make them a little bit fitting more what I really, my angle on it or something. But at that point, I became a responder rather than a creator. And I was a much better responder than a creator, right? The proactive part, where I had to think of an idea and I had to get in it and I had to watch myself go off on tangent after tangent and take forever and be dissatisfied with what I was writing and all that stuff. That whole thing went away because she would deliver these things to me and I would just modify them slightly so that they sounded more like me and they felt good to me and they had a nice ending that I wanted on it or something. And then things really started to change. So she started doing those and I started giving her more and more every week, and she started doing those faster. And then that's when things really took off. Okay. Really took off at that point. And it was so much less painful, let me tell you. I later had another website and I had her work on that too. And that was extremely helpful there too. So when I was thinking about this, this whole issue that therapists have, I hadn't done blogging for a long time. I was working on this other stuff. And then I thought, oh, therapists have the same problem that I used to have. And so I decided I needed to create a system to be able to offer therapists this kind of a service, okay? So that everyone doesn't have to go out and find a writer that works for them or doesn't work for them and try and buy and hire and fire and all that good stuff. So I created something called Therapy Blog Library. And this is really what I think the easiest way is on the planet in order to get good content on your therapy website, okay? So let's talk about how it works. First, what happens is you join the program and you fill out a form. And of course, on that form, you're going to tell us things like, here's my website, these are my specialties, here's who I see, etc. Once you do that, one of our blogging coordinators contacts you and they will have reviewed your website and your form and, your answers to questions about what you want to stress in terms of specialties, and they'll be checking in with you to make sure that they totally understand what you put in your form and that you're both on the same page. Then each month, they will coordinate topics and titles of posts with you. Okay, topics and titles of posts with you. They will then write the blog post for you. Our bloggers will write the blog post for you. Then when we complete the number you ordered each month, you can download them from your members area to your blog. Okay, so you have a members area with this service that you've bought. And you download them, you put them on your blog. You can modify them however you want, but you put them on your blog and your site grows, and then wash, rinse, repeat for the next month. Okay? So in a little bit more detail, let me just go through that again. Let's say that you work with couples with anxiety, with depression, and with teens. Okay, let's just say that. And so you would basically say, oh, hey, this month I want 2 blog posts for my teen category, 1 for my depression and 1 for my couples. And I'm kind of interested in these topics. And if you don't even have topics, the blogging team will come back to you and say, okay, well, hey, how about if we do teens and how to know if your teen is using drugs. Well, let's see what another teen one is. When your teen isn't doing well in school, how to handle it when your teen isn't doing well in school. And then for depression, let's do, something about, do you have to be on meds for the rest of your life if you're depressed? And then for couples, let's do something about, how about financial infidelity? Has that occurred in your relationship? Okay. And then you can say, oh my gosh, those are great topics. That's awesome. Or no, I want something different. All right. So they do the work for you in terms of really helping you determine it if you don't have preconceived ideas of topics. And then they will come back with the blog posts for you. They're in your members area. You download them, put them on your site. Okay, modify them if you want. That's how it works. We also have things called ready posts, and ready posts are posts that the team, not me. Why do I say we? I'm not even a part of this. That the team writes ahead of time, and they have them out on the website. And so you can go out there and look at those each month, and you can say, oh wow, I like this right here. Understanding depression, common and uncommon causes. I want that. Can I just grab that one? And once you grab it, they take it off the availability list. It's yours, and that can become your blog posts. Okay, and so these are just this is just what's out there right now. Ready and visible. There may even be more, but this was just the first screen of what's out there now. So this is just to give you an idea of the types of posts that the team writes and what is out there and available just for you to grab. So let's talk about this. What are we talking? So we have two different packages for blogging. The first one is 2 blog posts a month. And remember, all of these are originally, unique content, original content. It's not copied from anywhere. We don't write blog posts and sell them to 100 different people like some other people in our business do. We know Google doesn't like that, so we don't do that. So everything you have on your site is unique content. So if you want 2 a month, it's $169. If you want 4 a month, it's $269. Okay? And so what I'm doing here in terms of a value chart is I'm basically saying, let's say it was the average of the 2, and you did it for 6 months. The value is $1,314. Okay? $1,300. Now, we will also be doing the blog topics and titles, and those are worked for you. I'm saying that's a $297 value. You get your own access to our ready posts each month so that you can just grab those. That's certainly worth something. And so I'm showing a total value here of about $1,800 over a 6-month period. All right. Now, I'm going to throw some bonuses in because I'm giving a webinar. We have people ordering our blogging packages year-round, right? People will ask out in Facebook groups, how can I get blogging done? They'll say, go to Counseling Wise. They do a great job. They come, they order blogging packages. But a couple of times a year, I do these webinars, and the goal is to really fill up our writers big time, okay? And so we offer bonuses, and the bonuses are good for a week. So one of the things that we are offering is a bonus, which is a list of blog types, so that will spark more ideas for you. You can use this either to give your writers or your bloggers some ideas of what you want written, or you may decide, hey, I want 4 blog posts a month on my site. I don't have time to do 4. I'll do 2. You guys do 2. And you take these ideas for yourself, okay, so that you can write your blog post. That in and of itself is worth $297. So here's what I'm offering today. Again, if I say 6 months of the average, it's that. And then we add all that up and you're at $21.27. I'm throwing in another bonus, which is an SEO checklist for blogging, okay? And so one of the things that you can see in here, even if we just look through the print here and we see life coach as a focus keyword, if someone were a life coach, then we have other secondary keywords that we could pull from and get ideas of and have this to help us with our SEO on our blogs, okay? So that in and of itself is going to be thrown in as well, another $200 value. So here's, again, what we have at this point with these 2 bonuses, all right? Now, there's a question for you. If all this did was teach you what pages, what kind of content you should have on your site to attract your perfect clients, would it be worth it? Okay? Would it actually be worth $2,300 if you knew how to actually do this and get clients on an ongoing basis? I think it would. If it showed you how to write your website content the right way, because we're showing you how to do this, these different types of posts, would that be worth it? Okay, it's kind of a no-brainer. If you could get this is one client month, really, right? At a private pay. And what if it helped you get 2 to 3 clients per month? Would that be worth it? That right there would be like a 1 to, I don't know, 50 ROI or something like that. Okay. Bonus number 3 has to do with images. So we do not go pick images for you. That's a very subjective thing. It's a very time-consuming thing if we don't know what you like. And so what we are also providing as a bonus is our secret list of free image sites. We've been doing websites for 11 years now, so we have quite the list built. And these are not only, we'll give you free sites, but the images are royalty-free as well, okay? And so that will save you a ton of time right there. So bottom line, all of this stuff together, you're looking at a value of about $2,800. Now, obviously, I'm not going to charge you $2,800, but think about what this could be worth to you if you had a professional help in creating a blog that really gets you clients, okay? A website that is automatically growing each month, and everyone else is like, how are you getting all these phone calls? How did you get all that client? I mean, how did you get all that content on your site? Are you like a miracle worker or something? How is this happening? It's pretty sweet, okay? It's a pretty sweet situation. So again, how much you'd pay to have this website work for you. Here are some comments from people who have used the blogging service. Jim Davidson having these blogs written for us. I don't even need to read the whole thing and just take it off my plate. The content's been good. The amount of time that it takes to really come up with topics has been minimal. It's very simple. Don't even need to read the rest of it. April Lyons, writing about a particular blog. This blog is absolutely wonderful. Please thank my writer. I really enjoy the compassionate tone and all the research. Blogs are doing a great job at leading people to my website. Phil Feuerbach, it's really been a great experience. I get very positive feedback on my blogs. Chandra Chaikin, I wanted to have blogs, but I just can't. I don't have the time to write them every week. I appreciate that you guys do this service. It makes it easy for me. I honestly don't have time to do it. Appreciate having some good writing coming in that I don't have to take care of myself. Okay. So hopefully you see why this would be a good deal at that amount, but obviously that's not what I'm going to charge you. So let's talk about these two plans. The steady growth plan, again, 2 blog posts per month, $169 a month, and the fast growth plan, $269 a month, 4 blog posts per month, and the bonuses on top of that. The other thing that I will say is this is not a contract type thing. You are not locked in, okay? So if you want to do it a month and you don't like it for whatever reason, you don't want to do it anymore, then you're done, okay? You just tell us when you don't want to do it anymore if you give it a whirl, all right? So that's what I have for you today. Therapy, blog, library program, plus the bonuses. The bonuses are good for 1 week. So if you want to dive into this, you can go to therapybloglibrary.com. You can choose the package that you want, and we will get the bonuses to you. If you do this, of course, in the next week, you get the bonuses. If you wait until after the next week, then you don't get the bonuses, okay? We're trying to fill up the team right now. So obviously, your choice. Don't do anything. Stay where you're at, or go for it. Make this small investment and have it really change your practice, okay? Is it worth investing in a blog that brings you clients? Okay, that's the question you got to ask yourself, all right? So go ahead, there's the link. If you want to go there, you can go right there to that therapybloglibrary.com. Also, if you're interested in it, but you have some other questions that you don't feel comfortable asking in the chat for whatever reason, then feel free to reach out. Go to counselingwise.com. There's a little window that'll pop up. Let's see if I have a picture of it. This. Contact us. And then just put your question in there and I'll get back to you, okay? All right, so I'm gonna leave this up here so that you can see that link. And then I'm gonna go to the questions. So, all right, I'm gonna scroll way up to where questions might have been coming in. Christopher, can videos be resent as the promised ones were never in my email, inbox, junk, etc.? Huh, interesting. Yes, I'm gonna jot that down. Christopher, why don't you go ahead and put your email address in here so that I know who you are and we can get those videos to you. All right. And it'll show up at the bottom of the thread here, but I'll get it down. Let's see, I'm gonna keep going down. You guys had all these great ideas of blog posts. Those were good. Whoever has anxiety as a category, jot those down. Go get to writing. All the reasons that you don't do it: consistency, second language, you feel that it's boring, all that good stuff. Okay, let's see. Janice, do you have someone on the team that can help with vlogging? Very interesting. So Janice, typically what happens with vlogging is that it's a video, and if it's not you doing the video, it's not going to be terribly relationship building, right? So typically with vlogging, we recommend that the therapist themselves be the one to make the vlog, which is really just kind of talking a blog into a video, because then they get to see you and hear you and, you know, understand you better and relate to you. What I do recommend is that anytime you do vlog, if any of you are interested in vlogging, a lot of people find that easier than writing, that you then have the vlog transcribed. And you can go to rev.com and you can have it transcribed. I think it's like $1 a minute or something like that. It's really cheap. And then you have text that Google can crawl. So you put the video in your blog and you put the text below it, and then Google can crawl it, and that will help you rank. Okay, so let me know, Janice, if that helps you, or if I totally missed your question, okay? Connie, are blog posts going to be something we can sign up for later? For instance, 6 months from now? Yes, you can, Connie. You just won't get the bonuses. So that's how that works. Right now, we're offering the bonuses because, yeah, we're doing the webinar. Brian, do I need to worry about giving away trade secrets in my blog that I want people to pay for? That's a really good question, Brian. Okay, so a lot of people worry about that. When they first get online, they worry about that. And you actually don't really need to worry about it, okay? If you've been around me for any amount of time, you know that I give away a ton of stuff. I do webinars, I teach a whole bunch of stuff, I have video trainings, I have a Facebook group, I help people, I review their websites, I do all these things. All of those things could be deemed my trade secrets, right? Because I have a certain strategy that works really, really well. But what I have found is the more I share, the more clients I get, okay? People really want somebody to help them through something. They don't want to just read something. It's like if people just, there's enough self-help books out there that people wouldn't actually need to go to therapists, quote unquote. But that's not how we work as people. We would rather be working with someone else to get through our stuff. So don't worry about giving away too much information in your blogs. All right, hopefully that helps. Brian, let me know if that's clear. Christopher, see also Q&A. So there's a Q&A box. Okay, yes, I will do that. Mark, hello, Mark. Sounds good. Any special offer for the PPT people? It's an interesting question, Mark. I hadn't even thought about that. Maybe. Let me ponder that. What time is it in Zurich? Late. Dude, go to bed. Okay. Let's see. Janice, thank you. That was helpful. I'm looking for others that have experience with vlogging to get started. Okay. Gotta go. I'm not ready to do this now, but I would like to know how frequently you offer each of your webinars. Kind of like when we feel like we want to fill people up a little bit more, Ellen, honestly. That's kind of how often we do it. Usually twice a year, but I don't know what month it would be. Okay, but usually twice a year we feel like, okay, let's fill the team up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go to the Q&A area now. Now, I don't know if you guys can see that. Some of the basic blog topics. What are addressed on topic pages? Presumably they should not be duplicated. Let's see, I'm not quite sure what you mean. Do you mean like, would you write 2 blog posts on depression meds? Am I going to be on them the rest of my life? No, you wouldn't. You would want unique topics. So hopefully that helps. At what point has the volume of blogs become self-sustaining and able to slow down the rate? Yeah, once you're ranking for your specialties, then you can slow down the rates of your blogs. You never want to stop totally. But blog in those categories where you're not yet ranking and getting a bunch of clients. And once you are ranking, then you can slow down in that category. Okay. There's the blogging question. Okay, Christopher, I see the email there. I will get that to you. Oh yeah. So if you signed up last night, the video should come tonight, the first one. So you should get them, but if you don't, let me know, okay? I do coaching and therapy, says Paulina. Do you recommend 2 sites for this or keep it on one? Paulina, I recommend that you keep them on one, if at all possible, okay? And the only time you wouldn't want them on one is if they totally clash. So let's say that you do, this is gonna be a little crass, but let's say that you do coaching for sex offenders and therapy for children. You would not want those on the same site, okay, obviously. But if you do coaching like life coaching, executive coaching, business coaching, and then you work with therapy and depression and anxiety or whatever, couples, go for it, okay? It's really hard. It's hard enough to maintain one site and make it work really, really well. And if you have them both on one site, it's going to be so much better for all of your specialties. It just creates this momentum and just, okay? Someone's asking, what are the bonuses again? There we go. Let's go back. The bonuses are a list of blog post types to spark ideas, SEO checklist for blog posts, and list of websites with free images. All right. Okay. Let me see if there's another one. Jennifer, could you give an example of a couple of interlinked articles from an original blog? Interlinked articles from an original blog. Not sure what you mean exactly. Let me tell you about the interlinking I was talking about. So you would have a long specialty page, and then you would have that specialty page would link out to blog posts in the same category, and those blog posts would link back to the specialty page, okay? So that's what I'm talking about with interlinking. But if I missed it, Jennifer, and I didn't understand what you meant, maybe you could let me know, type it in again, or send me an email and I'll get to you, okay? All right, no more questions. We're at the top of the hour. Let me know if you have any other questions. Just go to our site and put them in, and I'll get back to you. And I hope this was helpful. And take care, everybody. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.